Hello there. I didn't expect this video to be my first actual video on this channel, at least publicly, since the only other video I have is a unlisted VA reel for a character in a cancelled show I was working on. However, I feel as if the topic and how it's been handled on the YouTube side of the object show community misses the point of how genuinely disheartening and serious the situation is, and focuses more so on the wrong thing here, since it's easier to make funny, gassy jokes and whatnot. I had already predicted that the nightmare blunt rotation of this community would make videos on the subject, and that they wouldn't entirely keep it serious. So I'm here to get the full and entire context of the situation that is known now, alongside clearing up every bit of addendum information from others who have come out to speak about APOY. I want to make it clear, this video will be delving into some rather sensitive topics, so it is entirely reasonable for you to step back and not continue watching forward if you feel like you're uncomfortable with watching. If you're still here, however, thank you. Let me get underway with what the situation is actually about. On August 2nd, a Twitter individual by the name of jellywrm came up about a rather uncomfortable and outright inappropriate request made by APOY, aka a person on YouTube. They had deleted their account and disappeared around the time of APOY's own opposed crash out around April, as it's been documented on YouTube by many people, especially a couple within that nightmare blunt rotation I was referencing earlier. But that's besides the point. They had deleted their account, disappeared around April, and were planning to take their own life around the end of April. jellywrm sent him a very long message, went to sleep, and woke up with about 83 messages of concern from APOY. Entirely reasonable for a concerned friend to do, however, if that is where things ended, we wouldn't be here right now. So what did APOY do 8 hours confirming that jellywrm was okay? Ask jellywrm to fart for them. As it's made beyond apparent, APOY has a fart fetish, made clear with the alt account he has that he used to continue talking with jellywrm, and presumably is why he asked. jellywrm himself provided enough information and evidence to prove that APOY owns this account, considering he references himself rather clearly, and there's also screenshots and moments where Discord glitches and makes it seem like he's messaging on his main account whilst he's on his alt. It's super important to note, something that no one has actually acknowledged, because it's just more easier to poke fun at APOY having a fart fetish instead of acknowledging how sickening this encounter is. And again, considering these people seem to have a GC and all made videos around the same time, mostly about his fetish, and all of them having jokes about it, I really shouldn't be surprised in the slightest that these people can take shit seriously. No. What makes this whole thing even worse is that jellywrm considered APOY their FP, or their favorite person. In the context of BPD, borderline personality disorder, a favorite person is someone whom an individual with BPD relies the most on support and reassurance. It's an extremely strong bond that's meant to relieve anxiety, but can in turn create a sense of dependency. Something APOY seems to take some weird sense of pride in, knowing jellywrm dependent on him. Now, I want to make things entirely clear, especially for some individuals, but mostly for the entire community. The victim in this case has made it clear that APOY having a fart fetish isn't what's the issue. It's the fact that he attempted to solicit material for his fetish from someone still in a rather vulnerable state, someone he knew considered him their favorite person, someone they could emotionally depend on, and he asked them for material for his fetish 8 hours after assuming they had made an attempt on their own life. That is the issue here, not the fact that he has a fart fetish to begin with. He, whether he intended to or not, was taking advantage of someone in a rather vulnerable state. That is the important part of all of this. Now, to clear up a couple extra things that had come out, and it may know that he made a commission with a Twitter user by the name of It's Probably D a few weeks back. Something more suggestive than standard, and in turn sent presumably a normal reference and also a nude reference for the character. To make things absolutely clear, It's Probably D wasn't comfortable with this encounter, however acknowledged that it wasn't the best thing to bring it out to the public since the nature of the conversation was adult in nature, and thus deleted the thread and made a follow-up. That doesn't negate the discovery that she went through in my eyes, but considering the conversation, it being a commission, this isn't entirely the smoking gun that people claim it is. Now, something's still developing and unconfirmed and certain. APOY does own a fart fetish server, and it's possible that minors were in the server, but nothing has come out just yet to confirm this exactly. In the end, that server only contained adults. Then him having an odd fetish and giving it within adult spaces isn't a damn problem. Him commissioning NSFW artists within NSFW spaces is not a problem. What is the problem is how inappropriate his actions were, especially with someone he knew very well depended on him. That's the issue, not the fact that he has a fart fetish in the first place. Drill that into your heads, especially when the victim themselves makes it clear that's the case. Now, if it comes out that there were minors in this server, not only would that be gross negligence on APOY's part, that would be endangering minors. It's important that we keep eyes and ears on this, but so far nothing has come out yet. APOY made a thread responding to all of this, trying to downplay things by mentioning how this could have been talked about privately. Had this happened at any other time, especially since these two are adults, sure, I can give you that, but that isn't what happened. Not in the slightest. It's, again, the issue that APOY seemed to believe it was at all in any way appropriate to ask of this material of someone in a rather vulnerable state. That is entirely the issue. In the end, APOY deleted the thread, made a new one recognizing the damage he caused, left the platform, cleared out all artwork made for him on his profile, and has kept it mostly blank. That is the entire situation, and what actually makes this whole ordeal disturbing. Surely this wouldn't have been so difficult to focus on, but then again the community can't seem to ever handle the situation seriously, especially the nightmare blunt rotation on this side of the community. So hopefully I cleared things up for you all. Please support jellywrm during this entire ordeal, and be sure to spread word of the situation properly. That is all I have to add, and hopefully now everything is clear. Hopefully a video of this nature isn't necessary in the future, but who knows. Take care everyone.